Let's take a moment to talk heart to heart. I want you to really focus on this for a minute because this is not just for someone else. It's for you. You may feel like you're in the middle of something heavy, and no one truly understands the weight you're carrying. But trust me when I say, God sees you, He knows you, and He cares about everything that's on your heart right now. I'm not talking to the person next to you, not the one who's sitting across from you. I'm talking to you right now. This moment is for you that I know you're tired. I'm not just talking about being sleepy or needing a nap. I mean tired to your core. I mean exhausted, completely worn out, done. Maybe you've been juggling so many things for so long that you're starting to wonder how much longer you can hold it all together. The pressure, the exhaustion, the weight of responsibility, it all feels like too much. Can we be real for a moment? Life gets heavy, doesn't it? The bills keep coming in, the kids need you, the demands at work never end. Your family is calling out for your attention. And all of this while you're trying to be everything to everyone. But in all this, there's one question that keeps echoing in your mind. What about me? Who's taking care of me? Who's holding me up while I'm trying to hold everyone else up? Today, I want to remind you of something. God sees you in this moment. He sees everything you're carrying, every struggle, every tear, every sleepless night. And He wants you to know He's not ignoring you. He's not distant. Let me say it louder for those in the back. God knows you're tired. He knows you've been trying your best, and He knows it's been hard. Now, let me read to you something that could change everything. Just one verse. You don't need 50 scriptures to change your life. Sometimes one verse is all it takes. Matthew 11 verse 28 says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Think about that for a moment. Jesus didn't say, "Come to me once you've figured everything out." He didn't say, "Come to me if you're perfect and have it all together." No, He said, "Come to me, all you who are weary." He's speaking to those who are tired, those who are struggling, those who feel like they're at their breaking point. That means you. You have been trying so hard, fighting battles no one sees, carrying burdens too heavy to bear. Jesus is saying, "Come to me. I'll give you rest." Let that sink in. You see, some of you have been walking around acting like everything is fine, but on the inside, you're running on empty. You're trying to keep it together for everyone else, but inside, you're falling apart. God never meant for you to carry all that weight by yourself. He didn't create you to be superhuman. Dad, I want to tell you something I've learned. It's okay to admit that you're tired. It's okay to say, "God, I can't do this anymore." That doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest. And God honors honesty. He can work with your brokenness. He can handle your mess. He's not afraid of your tears, your doubts, or your fears. Right now, God is saying to you, "Bring it to me. Stop trying to carry it on your own. I've got you." You don't have to hold on so tight anymore. You don't have to try to fix everything on your own. God never asked you to figure everything out. He didn't ask you to solve every problem, to fix every issue. You're not God. That's His job. Your job is to trust Him. Your job is to bring your burdens to Him and let Him do what only He can do. You see, so many of us spend so much time trying to control things that were never meant to be controlled. We stress ourselves out over things that are completely beyond our control. But let me remind you of something. God is in control. He's bigger than your problems, stronger than your struggles, and He's already working things out for you. When Jesus says, "I will give you rest," He's not just talking about physical rest. He's talking about a rest for your soul, He's talking about a peace that passes all understanding. The kind of rest that gives you calm even when everything around you is chaotic. The kind of rest that says, it's going to be okay because God is in control. Now, the world will tell you to hustle harder, to work more, to do better. The world says, figure it out on your own. But God says, come to me. Let me handle it for you. Today, I need you to stop holding on so tightly. Whatever it is you've been carrying, whether it's worry, stress, fear, or guilt, I want you to lay it down at God's feet. Right here, right now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for next week. Do it today. God is not looking for perfect people. He's looking for honest people. He's looking for tired people who are ready to say, God, I need you. Are you ready to do that? Because if you are, He's ready to meet you where you are. He's ready to take that weight off your shoulders. And I promise you this, when you give it to God, He will give you a peace that passes all understanding. He will give you the strength to keep going. He will remind you that you are never alone. Let me go a little deeper here, because it's one thing to hear that God will give you rest, but it's another thing entirely to believe it, to live like it's true. I know some of you are sitting there thinking, that sounds good, but how do I actually lay it down? How do I trust God when my life feels like it's falling apart? Let me tell you something. One of the reasons we stay tired is because we're fighting battles that God never asked us to fight. Some of you are out here trying to fix everybody else's life. You're worried about your kids, your spouse, your friends, your co-workers, and you've convinced yourself that it's your job to keep everything together. Let me tell you something loud and clear. It's not your job to save everyone. It's God's job. Some of you need to hear this. You are not God. Stop trying to do His work for Him. Here's what happens when we try to fight battles that God never asked us to fight. We burn out. We get frustrated. We exhaust ourselves because we're trying to control things that are beyond our control. That's why Jesus tells us to bring our burdens to Him. He's saying, you don't have to carry that weight. Let me handle it. Let me remind you of something important. God's strength is made perfect in your weakness. That means when you feel like you're at your lowest point, God's strength shows up. When you feel like you've hit rock bottom, God's power steps in. When you're ready to quit, God says, I've got this. But here's the key. You've got to let Him. Some of us are so busy trying to be in control that we don't leave room for God to work. You're praying for God to move in your life, but then you're running around trying to solve everything on your own. That's not faith. Faith is saying, God, I trust you enough to let go. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you give up. It means you stop trying to carry it all in your own strength. It means you pray about it, leave it in God's hands, and trust that He's working, even when you don't see it yet. Sometimes God doesn't move as quickly as we want Him to, and if we're honest, that's hard. We want quick fixes. We want God to solve our problems immediately. But let me tell you something. He's never late. He's never early. He knows exactly what you need and when you need it. So, if you're waiting on God right now, don't lose hope. Waiting doesn't mean He's forgotten about you. Waiting means He's preparing something better than you can imagine. Now, let's talk about the rest. You see, sometimes we stay tired because we're filling ourselves with the wrong things. We try to find rest in places that can't give it to us. Maybe it's scrolling through social media, binge-watching TV shows, or mindlessly browsing the internet. These things might distract you for a little while, but they won't give you peace. Only God's presence can fill the empty spaces in your heart. His presence is where you find rest. His word is where you find strength. That's why Jesus says in Matthew 11 verse 29, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." Let's break this down for a second. Jesus says, "Take my yoke upon you." A yoke is a tool that binds two oxen together to share the load. Jesus is saying, "Let me walk with you. Let me carry the weight that's been weighing you down." And the best part? He's gentle. He's not going to add more pressure. He's not going to make things harder. He's going to give you rest. So, here's the challenge. Stop trying to fight this battle on your own. Trust God. Lay down your burdens. Let Him carry what you can't. Let Him give you the peace that only He can provide. But today, I need you to know something that could change everything you're going through. God sees you. He sees everything about you. The struggles you face, the heartaches you carry, and the overwhelming burdens that feel like they will crush you. And in case you didn't know this already, He cares deeply. Not only does He see your pain, but He also has a solution for you that is far beyond anything you could imagine. Let me tell you something you may need to hear today. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your own. I know the world tells you that you need to be strong, that you need to have it all together. Everyone around you might seem like they have it figured out. Maybe it feels like you're the only one who's struggling. But let me assure you of this. You are not alone. Not in this. You are never alone. When you look around, it might seem like others are doing just fine. They seem to have it all together, and you can't help but compare your journey to theirs. But let me tell you something that might surprise you. The people around you, they're going through their own battles too. They may not show it, but they are. And the more we compare ourselves to others, the more we lose sight of our own unique journey. Your struggles are not a sign of failure, but a sign of your humanity. You are not meant to walk through this life without challenges. It's in those struggles that you were shaped, that your character is refined, and that your purpose is uncovered. The weight you feel today may not make sense now, but one day you'll look back and see how much stronger you've become. Now, I know that's easy to say, right? You'll get stronger. You'll get through this. But in the middle of the storm, it can feel impossible to believe. It can feel like everything is falling apart, like there's no way out. I get that. You might feel like you're at your breaking point, like everything is just too much. And no matter how hard you try to push forward, the weight only seems to grow heavier. But let me tell you something powerful. This moment is temporary. And what you're feeling right now, it's not the end of the story. It's just a chapter. Your journey is still unfolding. And I promise you, there's more to come. There's so much more waiting for you on the other side of this, that in the midst of all the pressure, the worry, and the pain, I want you to remember something beautiful. You are not designed to carry these burdens alone. God has made Himself available to you, to help you, to walk alongside you through everything. When Jesus says in Matthew 11 verse 28, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest," He's not speaking to someone else. He's speaking to you. He's talking to you, the one who feels worn out, the one who feels like they're carrying too much, the one who feels like they just can't keep going to DO. You know what it means to be weary and burdened? It means you've been carrying something for so long that you feel like you just can't take another step. It means you've been fighting battles, facing struggles, and carrying weights that seem impossible to bear. It means that no matter how much you try to hold everything together, you feel like it's all slipping through your fingers. But God, in His great love and mercy, says, "Come to me." He doesn't say, "Come to me when you have everything figured out." He doesn't say, "Come to me once you've cleaned up your mess." No, He says, "Come to me just as you are. Come with your hurt. Come with your brokenness. Come with your doubts. Come with your questions." He wants you to bring all of it to Him. The good, the bad, the ugly. He wants to hold it all for you. And in return, He promises rest. Now, I want to take a moment and really sit with that. Rest. What does rest look like for you right now? Is it peace in your mind, free from the constant worry and anxiety? Is it a sense of calm, knowing that everything is going to be okay, no matter how things look? Is it a restoration of your energy, a renewal of your spirit? God offers all of that and more. When you come to Him, He will refresh your soul in a way nothing else can. But here's the thing. Rest doesn't always look like what we expect. We often think that rest means everything stopping, everything calming down, and all our problems being instantly solved. But sometimes, rest is not the absence of struggle. Sometimes, rest is peace in the middle of the storm. It's the assurance that God is with you, that He is walking beside you, even when everything around you seems chaotic. It's the quiet confidence that no matter what you face, you will never face it alone. You may be asking, how can I rest when everything is falling apart around me? The answer is that true rest doesn't come from external circumstances. True rest comes from knowing who you are in God. It comes from knowing that no matter how tough things get, you are held by the One who created you. You are loved, you are chosen, and you are never forgotten. And here's the beauty of God's promise. He doesn't just give you rest for a moment. He gives you rest for your soul. That means He's not just offering you a quick fix or a temporary distraction from your problems. He's offering you something deeper. He's offering you peace that transcends everything you're going through, that God's rest is not temporary. It's eternal. And when you lean into His rest, it changes everything. It shifts your perspective. It changes how you view your struggles. It gives you the strength to face what's ahead, knowing that you're not facing it alone. You see, the thing about rest is that it's a gift. But to receive it, you have to be willing to let go. You have to let go of the need to control everything. You have to surrender your worries, your burdens, and your fears to God. Only then will you experience the true rest that He offers. And let me tell you, when you finally lay it all down, when you stop trying to do it all on your own, you'll experience a peace you never thought possible. Now, I'm not saying that everything will be perfect overnight. That's not how life works. But I am saying that you don't have to face it alone. I am saying that you don't have to carry the weight of the world by yourself. God is offering to take it from you, to lighten your load, and to give you peace in the middle of your storms. That is, today, I want you to make a choice. Will you come to God with your burdens? Will you trust Him to give you rest, even in the midst of your struggles? Because I promise you, when you do, He will give you the strength you need to keep going, and He will give you the peace that only He can provide.